And if we could for a moment, for this duration of this meeting, to suspend the past, so we can meet ourselves and each other freshly. No need for any script for now. To be like a newborn, fresh presence, moment by moment. No need to carry along your past achievements, your yesterday's problems, yesterday's regrets, tomorrow's hopes. Rather simply to welcome yourself, welcome the welcoming. To relax your plans to get somewhere, to solve problems, and to dive deeply in the ocean of being. Which is there, present, which is the very presence that effortlessly welcomes, effortlessly is. Without any separation, sort of a universal field of isness and effortless welcoming. Like the wide open sky. Not an experience, not a state of mind, but the presence, the beingness, that which is beyond all states, is beyond any definition, beyond any form. and yet takes on the form of this breath, in the form of the sensation of your feet on the ground, without there ever being any separation. Like the ocean forms waves out of itself and forms currents within itself. You recognize the ocean in every wave, every bit of waviness. There is one reality, one truth. It is not something we experience, it is that which we are, that which is the isness within everything, and the beingness that we know as I am. It is at that level of beingness which is our true nature, that all so-called problems dissolve in the reality of being, dissolving God's love, God's truth. In the realm of perception, mentation, and sensation, the realm of world, body, mind, or the realm of the perceived. God's dream, your dream. Whenever you perceive a problem, that which perceives the problem is false. And the perceived problem is equally false. The dreamt character that you mistake yourself to be, you are not. You imagine yourself to be a body-mind, a limited mortal self that is subject to conditions, subject to events, subject to situations. But that bubble goes pop as soon as you notice the reality of consciousness. Consciousness noticing itself, realizing in a flash that which knows is that which I am. That which is my creation. All arises out of isness, beingness. I experience the existence of the world. The isness of the world is my experience. I experience the isness. It is the isness that I am that is manifesting as the isness of the world. dream in your night dreams. I heard of pink flying elephants. Their existence arises out of fear, isness. Being is eternal. Experiences are temporal. Within the ocean, there isn't a north and a south, an east and a west. It's one undivided, indivisible ocean. All currents in the ocean, all waves of the ocean are the movement of that same ocean. You do not need to define yourself via your problems, via your history, via your past. The past is absolutely gone. The magnificent sunrise does not repeat itself. There is no past, there is no yesterday. In this morning's sunrise and this evening's sunset. There is no one going anywhere. The reality of awareness, consciousness is void of separation. You are that totality, that wholeness. There has never been a person with, with personal problems. You have to go out of your way to you are not defined in any way by the stream of thought and sensations that you perceive. There are God's play within your mind, inviting you to recognize the sorcerer. Within you, the sorcerer is this aware presence. God reveals herself to you as this aware presence. So if you have any questions, anything you would like to share, please make sure you unmute your mic, and you can turn your video on if you like, so we can see each other. So any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello,
Sunita here.
Sunita.
How are you?
Very well, Sunita. Hello, Sunita.
Hi. My question is more on taking what we realize, those insights, into our daily living. So sitting in stillness when I'm all by myself, it's easy to get into the awareness, knowing awareness, very peaceful, very calm. There's no questions at all. And then slowly I tried to take that outside of the meditation cushion, and then more like a soft focus when I'm cooking, or just doing work across the home and so on, where the attention aspect is not needed so much. It's more like a global awareness. I'm just taking everything into account, so on. And that is also okay. One thing that I'm facing difficulty is when there needs to be like a pointed attention, when awareness needs to have that pointed attention on something, like somebody is talking and I really need to listen. It's like complete attention. That time the old way of attention gets into effect, wherein it's sometimes like we contract our body. Some part of the body is contracted, whether our eyebrows or some inside some part of the body just gets contracted. Different attention, different parts of the body gets contracted. And then, of course, after certain time I realize, okay, there is actual pain in the body, like it's painful, it's more effort. And then I realize that, and I let go. There's not too much inquiry happening. It's sometimes there's I don't even feel like inquiring. Just by looking at it, it goes away. And then I continue in a different way, wherein it's the awareness is completely there.
Yes.
So I want, is there any way to remember that often, like especially during times of attention, without the body's natural tendency to contract and attend, and then realize because the body is so much in pain? Instead, is there a way of self, like some kind of a remembrance that I can keep it going all the time?
Right. Yes. So, Sunita, in terms of the inquiry into our true nature, inquiry into the peace of being, inquiry into the belief that I am Magdi, that I am Sunita, that I'm the body-mind. That inquiry is one of the aspects of the sadhana, of the work of the contemplation, which is basically to contemplate the teaching and to meditate onto the teaching and to inquire into what am I truly? Am I that which is perceived, or am I the reality that perceives? So that's the process of inquiry. Is in a way a process of reasoning and a process of investigation. sort of probing into your belief systems, your belief structures, and till over time you come to the clarity that the belief that I is a mortal body mind is just a belief that I is the reality that perceives, the reality that is, and not some object of perception, not something that is perceived. But when it comes to living the understanding is a different approach. It's not really an inquiry, it's not Atmavishara, it's not an investigation. Rather, it is more of a noticing at the feeling level, at the sensory level, and the relaxing at the feeling level, at the body level, at the sensory level. So there are in our life various activities, so many of them that require our focus of attention, whether we're cooking or we're listening to a speaker, or whether we are performing a certain task at work, etc. The attention is called to the task. So there is a focusing of the at the body-mind level, a certain engagement. That's perfectly normal, and it's necessary. Actually, it is part of the mechanism, part of the organism. Now, what is not necessary and not very pleasant is the additional, what we add on to that, which is a contraction. There is the contraction, the tightness, the tightening at the body mind is let's say the echo or the imprint of ignorance, the imprint of the belief that I am a mortal body mind at the feeling level, within the body, at the cellular level, at the sensory level. So there is two aspects of ignorance. There is the belief of that I am this person with my history, with my images and so on, and at the feeling level, the sense of me, which is within the body, that is buried, let's say, or encrusted into the body. And that sense of self, the feeling, the me feeling, we do not notice it much. It is sort of, let's say, like a background, sort of an annoyance, sort of a hum, an unpleasant hum, but we get so used to it that we don't notice it much. But there are numerous occasions, well, hopefully not, but there are occasions, let's say, in our daily life, in our activities, in our relationships, in our interactions, where that sense of me is noticed. It is noticed as, one could say, unhappiness, contraction, a sense of something not fine. Something is yes. Troubling me. Something is annoying me. The very fact of noticing that, you're already at the door you're at the door, and relaxing, meaning not trying to fix, not to try to find a method to fix the sensation, but rather to notice that this sensation is a neutral sensation arising within the space of awareness, because we wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't arising within the space of awareness. And that the spaciousness of awareness, the presence, beingness, is not in the repair business. It is in the love business. Not with effort, I'm not trying to be loving, but by its very nature, this wide open sky is all allowing. All form of clouds can arise within the wide open sky. Clouds that have the shape of angels and clouds that have the shapes of dragons. The wide open sky is completely open to whatever appears. So there is the possibility to be in your complete neutrality, in your complete disinterest or indifferent. Francis uses the term benevolent indifference with the feeling. So there is a benevolent indifference. Aha, I notice a contraction. It's not necessary. Of course, if you're there may be muscular, if you're doing an activity, like if you're planting some flowers, yes, there is within the body a certain muscular movement, but we're talking about a different thing.
Yes.
We're talking about a resistance. So in terms of the resistance is how the me is expressing itself in the body. But because you understand now that you are this aware presence, that there is nobody to defend, there is nothing at stake for anybody, that the character that you are defending was a liar, was a dream, was an imagination. Because of that understanding, you are no longer fueling. It's like there's still some fuel in the car, but it's just running lower and lower and lower and lower, and at some point it will not run anymore. So you don't want to fill the tank with, oh, let me vanquish that, or let me free myself of that. You see, because that which is trying to free itself of the contraction is the contraction itself. It's a trickery within.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So
yeah.
Yes. So the sadhana, I would say, is more that of more and more and more and more and more allowing, feeling, sensing, welcoming. No, there isn't an agenda. Like, it's not like I'm going to welcome this contraction, but I'm hoping by welcoming it, I'm going to get rid of it, you see? Because...
I'm understanding that slight intention also can cause a identity.
Yes. So, and it may be helpful. It depends. You have to investigate that. Sometimes we may need to recollect. We may need to sort of pause and say, wait a minute. Okay. Do like a little inquiry if needed, if in case, they can work together to sort of notice that this contraction is sort of going back the body, inviting you to go back to the old model of I am Sunita and here are the conditions about my life, about my partner, about my kids, about my work, about etc. But I am not Sunita. Sunita is a set of images, thoughts, perceptions, sensations that appear to me and dissolve one after the other. It's like the world appears to me as perceptions. The body appears to me as sensations. Even the world appears to me as sensations. If you can smell a rose, the rose appears to you as sensation. Beautiful. Or if you prick yourself in the thorn. So the world appears to you, and the mind, meaning thoughts, memories, images. They appear to you. They don't define you. You're not defined by what you are. So sometimes we need to recollect that, sort of press the refresh button, maybe. In time, we won't need to press the refresh button anymore. We can immediately go to the sensation, the contraction, and sort of, rather than making it an enemy, notice that it's just a neutral event, a cosmic event.
Got it. And that's the benevolent noticing that you mentioned before.
Yes.
Just looking at it, not doing, I mean, it's there, that's all. And I know, I mean, just by noticing it, it actually goes away.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah, it's already doing that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a noticing, and also we may have a little training in being, like when a baby is walking, they're getting the balance, and it takes a little while to sort of get closer and closer, let's say, as a way of speaking, to the sensation, and being very, very gentle, very sort of it's okay, you come to it, and you find you can get closer and closer to it, as a way of speaking, because where it reveals more and more of its sort of play, let's say.
I see. Yeah, I mean, there are times when I have done that, especially if I'm alone and I can do that to those contractions. I can go in, and the awareness just is on that. There's nothing perceiving it. It's just there, and it melts, like it goes, and it's more like a heartfelt looking at it.
Yes.
Looking at that contraction, but of course, when I'm talking to people or so, I don't want to lose awareness on the experience that I'm having at that point. Like I need to pay attention to somebody.
Yes.
Those times I just notice, oh, I'm having a contraction.
Yes.
Just relax it.
Yes.
It goes. And
right. In time, you may find, because it's an inner work, it's not visible, you will find that, well, in time, that you could be engaged at the surface in all sorts of activities, even activities where you are concentrating, and at the same time, inwardly, you are sort of melting, welcoming.
Yeah.
So they're not. They can come together. Yeah, they can come together. Explore that, and you will find that it's possible even now. As, for example, we're talking, you could sort of be, sensing, like within your belly, or within your neck, or within your being. You could be engaged in this conversation, and at the same time, there may be awareing a certain place of resistance or contraction within your body, and sort of. So they're not so different. The external work and the inner work. External activities and the inner work doesn't need for the external activity to be absent or to be on pause, Although at time that may be the way.
Thank you so much, Magdi. That definitely helps.
Okay, Sunita. So the understanding, once there is the understanding, then there is living the understanding until the understanding is living itself through you. So you live the understanding, you invite God's peace, God's light to permeate your entire being. So you welcome God's expression, whichever way it's appearing to you. You don't need to figure it out. You can just love. So love, you don't need to figure out. You don't need to figure it out to love. You don't need to figure anything out to be the love, to love and be the love. So we welcome everything equally. Welcome everything equally. We're not trying to achieve a certain state of the body or of the mind. It's not the direction. Because the state of the body and state of the mind are temporary expressions. But through nature, what we are is already that. So, any questions?
Hello.
Hello, Amna.
How do you know when to trust mental suggestions?
Mental suggestions? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. So the thought that appears to you can have a reference to you as a person. When a thought that appears to you that is referring to you as a person and referring to the other as a person, I would take a closer look before proceeding. Because I is not some object that I experience. I is that which I am, that which is. I is isness. I is presence. I is the infinite, invisible reality of being, the undeniable reality of being, of awareness. So when the thought is referring to you, meaning consciousness, as somebody is referring to, somebody else, is a falsehood. And when you ignore this falsehood and you take it to be something to trust and to follow, you are following and trusting the falsehood, then you will continue to experience yourself as a limited self, as an event within the confines of the world, of the body, of the mind. You will continue to experience the sense of limitation, the haze, the lack of clarity, the confusion, the unhappiness. Now there are thoughts that come to you that are thoughts about truth, thoughts about reality, about consciousness, about God. These thoughts, they're referring to, they're referent, they're referring to the source out of which they're arising. And they already have the imprint of love and beauty and happiness in them. And there are also thoughts that appear to you that are happy thoughts about visiting a friend or cooking a nice dish or going for a walk or reading Rumi's poetry or these thoughts, they're not seeking anything personal. It's just joyful. Doesn't mean they're easy. Maybe they're not easy. Sometimes you have to go all the way down to the market to buy some vegetables. You have to drive. You have to, I don't know, this. But there is nothing at stake. It's just God's play within your body-mind. So you're welcome. You welcome God's creativity, God's play, God's sense of exploration, and discovery, and creativity. And also there are thoughts that arise to you about sharing your understanding. Of course, in sharing one's understanding, we're not preaching, we're not trying to fill a cup that's already full, or we're not trying to pour some tea into a saucer. We only pour the tea in. When somebody presents a teacup, an empty teacup, we pour some tea. And also, you know a thought. You can determine if a thought is referring to the illusory self by there is an unhappiness. You sort of have to become an unhappiness detector. But don't follow the path of unhappiness. You can detect it and you can stop. But it could be that in many cases we have been so accustomed to the me dynamics, the sense of me, the feeling of me, the referring, the false reference to consciousness as me, this person, this mortal person, which is unhappy. But I would say oftentimes we don't notice that the unhappiness. So it's important to notice this unhappiness so you don't continue it. So you can become clear that no, that's not what I want. You know, why would I want to? Why would I want to have the unhappiness? But you have to notice it. You see, so.
What do you do when you get caught up in it?
In what?
In the story, in the thoughts.
Oh, well, you know, you never you are never actually caught up in the story or in the thoughts, because the stories and the thoughts, they are like sound bites that appear to you. How you don't get caught up into as a matter of fact. But having said that, when you believe, there are thoughts that are, or stories which are thoughts that are referring to you as somebody, you know, as Amna, as this, the good, the bad, the whole thing, you know. And these thoughts, although they don't know you, you believe them. You believe that, oh yes, you know, this thought is speaking about me. I am this person that this thought is referring to. And so that's what I think we mean by when we say we get caught up in the thought. Getting caught up in the thought is in a way forgetting or overlooking that the thought is just an event that's appearing to you. As soon as you forget the thought is an event that's appearing to you, you are a prey to believing that when the thought says, oh, you know, you're really great today, you know, but you're getting better or you're getting worse, you'll believe that. So the more you keep returning to your understanding that I is the reality that perceives right now in this very moment, I is this awareness, You could say, okay, the image, there is an image which we call Amna. We even call, it's really weird, we even call Amna, the body we call Amna, like we call a dog, you know, Rex, and we call a cat, you know, I don't know what we call a cat, Gina, I know. But a cat, what is a cat? What is the body? The body. What is the body? What is it that we call Amna? What is it that we call Amna? It's the body. So the body, we say the body, we call the body Amna. But what's your experience of the body? Okay, so there is a body out there, let's say. Okay, whatever it is, a real body out there, which we call Amna. Fine. There's a car out there, which we call a Toyota. Okay, fine. I mean, but what's your experience of the body? You see, what's your experience of the body? So your experience of the body. So in this moment, what's your experience of the body? You look at that, you see, you find that my experience of the body is a stream of sensations or perceptions. And when you take a little closer look at your experience of the body, you find that your experience of the body is an experience of consciousness.
Wait, I wanna, 1 second.
Oh, okay.
I wanna say something.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the perception part seems like solid. Like the sensations, they come and go. But like, I look and it's here all the time.
The what, your hand?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, okay. Do you remember 15 years ago what your hand looked like?
No.
How about like in 40 years? It's going to look different, believe me. Okay, so yes, you are correct in that thought. Every second it changes. You can see that, oh, right now the thought that...
No, not the thought, but like the sensation.
The sensation,
The sensations
yes.
change.
Yes, you could say, okay, the sensation changes quickly, but the body changes less quickly. You know, I mean, if you look at you go on in the ocean, you find there are motorboats. You know, they travel at 20 knots. Well, I don't know much about knots. Let's say 20 knots. And then you have the big tankers. They travel at 2 knots. Okay, what's the difference? Okay, yeah, it's true that the boat, the big tanker moves very slowly. You know, you're looking there. Wow, you know, this tanker, you look for, you're 10 minutes watching the tanker. But a motorboat is, wow, but they're both boats. I mean, they're both they're both objects, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are right. The table, for example, this table will probably, I don't know, maybe in 200 years it will be all fallen. I don't know. It may become firewood. I don't know. But if you come back tomorrow or next week, it'll still be there, right? So not all of your dreams have the same duration. Like, for example, in your night dream, you dream that you are having dinner with friends, and you spend 2 hours having dinners with them, okay? And then you get into your car and you drive to New York, and driving to New York takes you 2 minutes. Right? I mean, it could be, yes? So here we are, where what seemed to be take a long time, what in the waking state we say takes a long time to drive from here to New York. I mean, I don't know where you are, but I actually forgot you. But it takes you many hours. And to have lunch with friends, you know, much shorter time. So it's relative. It's relative in the dream, yeah, in the dream. So you could experience a long journey in a flash, or you could experience a short event that takes a long, long time. Yes. So from the perspective of the mind, there is a discrimination. There is that which is more durable and that which is more fleeting. A thought is more fleeting. A sensation is more durable. The mountain is even more durable. Yes. But irrespective of that, the reality of a thought, the reality of a sensation, the reality of the oak tree, which is a perception, is consciousness. So it's not a problem that you are dreaming that you are the herder of the pink flying elephants. for 200 years. And that you are dreaming that you are having dinner that lasts 2 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you know what you are. That which you are. That which you are is this aware presence. I is awareness. I is not an object. Now, having said all that, if you look at, you say sensation lasts longer, right? Than a thought.
The perception. The perception.
The perception lasts longer than a sensation. Yes?
Yeah.
Listen that. In fact, it's not true. Because this very perception that you had right now, where is it?
It's gone.
How long did it last?
It didn't.
So
It's just the memory of it.
the memory, okay, this is the memory right now. This is the memory of the perception. Where is the memory right now? It's gone.
Just.
How long did it last? A flash. So it could be that that in fact your experience is not of something lasting longer. I'm not negating the thought that may say that you perceive a thought that says, oh, well, this lasts longer. For example, this table lasts longer. It's a thought, right? That says that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine that the thought isn't present. That the thought, this table is going to lasting longer, never occurs to you. What would we be talking about? What were we talking about? So it is only because the thought is appearing that says, well, this table lasts longer. So we're having a conversation about the thought. We're having a thought conversation about the thought. You follow what I mean?
Well, what was coming up is that like every moment is fresh.
Yes. Every moment is fresh as awareness. Awareness is not in time. It's not in time. Time.
What do you mean? What do you mean as awareness? Everything is fresh as awareness?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Meaning awareness is freshness, like when you smell a rose.
Yeah, it's different than the memory of the rose.
Yes.
You can't smell a memory of a rose.
Right, yes. It's like I cannot hear anything you're saying now in the past. It's fresh. Awareness is freshness. It's not in time. I mean, it's not in time. It is not an event in time. Yes? Yes. Time. I think we mentioned that last time. The time is the thought. This thought of yesterday. The thought of yesterday. I went downtown. So it's a thought. It's a current thought. Yes, it's a current thought. But it's referencing. It's within that thought, there is a reference of time. A reference about me in time. But in fact, it's just consciousness taking on the form of this thought. But there's a belief that there is a me. In fact, you're witnessing so many freaking thoughts in 1 hour. If you could wire a computer to your brain and register the thoughts You'll need the computer of the year 3000, because computers we have now are too slow. If you wire a computer of the year 3000 to your brain to measure the thoughts that are traveling through, it's as much as there are atoms and electrons and atoms in the universe. Because your mind is the universe. See, there isn't a box made out of lead around, and then your mind is inside, you see. You know, the lead, you know, the thick lead walls, and inside is your mind. It's not like that. It's an open system. So your thoughts and the world and the cosmos and the universes are interacting, you see. Where was I going with that? I think I was basically sharing that we don't exist in time. There is nothing actually exists in time. Time is a mind impression, a thought impression, which is fine. I'm not criticizing it. Okay, it's what it is. It's what it is. It's a model, you know. It's a mind model. Time and space are a mind model. Maybe not for the amoeba. Maybe not for. maybe not for other manifestations. Maybe not for the sap within the tree. Well, actually, no. The sap within the tree. There are seasons. Yes, so there could be time for the sap in the tree. So.
Is that a kind of bird? I don't know what an amoeba is, and I don't know what a sap is.
No, the sap. I can tell you, the sap in the tree is the what nourishes the tree. Yeah, what nourishes the tree. The fluids that nourish the tree. Yeah, and the amoeba. Somebody may need to help me. It's a teeny tiny creature, you know, teeny tiny.
One cell.
One cell. Okay, the cell, single cell. Okay, thank you. Single cell. How about that?
So everything is just freshly arising in the moment.
Well, if you look at your experience, Amna, you experience, for example, a thought right now that arises, right?
Yeah.
It arises out of awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where is it? Where is it?
It's gone.
So what are we talking about? So yeah, you could say, you know, everything arises out of awareness is a way of speaking, you see. It's a way of speaking. But there is nothing truly arising. It's a way of speaking. When you are dreaming that you're a butterfly, you could say the butterfly is arising in the moment, right?
Yeah. I never dreamed that I'm a butterfly. Okay. I wish I did, but...
Well, you dream you are what, a pink flying elephant? Let's see. Well, that's whatever you dream. That whatever you okay. Tell me, what do you dream? Let's say you dream you are.
My dreams aren't creative. It's this I'm the character just doing something different in the dream. But
okay, so you dream you are
just that I'm the character.
You dream you're a character doing something in the dream. Okay, but What is that character? So you could say, okay, there is something is arising as the character, you know, because I'm the character. You said things arise, I mean, things. So what do you mean by things? When you say things arising, you're referring to something, you know, well, maybe you're not, but anyways, you could be referring to something arising. What is that thing that's arising?
It's perceptions.
Yeah, okay, what is the perception? That perception, what is that perception? What is this perception? When you go to the perception, it's gone. It's a different one. It's a different one, a different one, a different one, right?
Yeah. Some of them seem to move faster than others, like you said.
Right, which is mind, Now, perceptions are the dance of consciousness. Like fire makes flames, right? And they move like this and like that. You know, if you take a picture of you want to take a picture of the fire, you have to have a camera that goes tick, 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 tick. You have to take a billion pictures to capture, well, that's what's called a movie, I guess. But even then, it's only a representation. It's a representation. So the arising is just consciousness taking on the form of an arising. The key thing to comprehend is that there isn't a separate reality in your experience. Outside of consciousness, there isn't a separate reality. Everything that you experience, thoughts, the reality of the mind is consciousness. The world you perceive, the world, the reality of that world is consciousness. So what you perceive, you could say that what you perceive is an illusion. It is not what it appears to be. It is only a model. Your perception is modeled upon the instrument that perceives. Like you have not the instrument that perceives, the instrument that is used in perception, like the body.
I didn't know what you just said. I don't understand.
The body, your body can only hear so many decibel. Your ears, I mean, the hearing can only hear a certain decibel level, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a dog hears a different, much more, let's say, than the human ear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So which is the reality of sound? Is it what the dog is hearing or what Magdi is hearing? You follow? In other words, if you develop an instrument that can detect sound, that are, you cannot hear them no matter how great your hearing is, you will find that in fact the realm of sounds is much beyond the instrument, the auditory instrument of the body.
Yeah.
We are referring to the world, body, mind via the instrument, via our eyes, our ears, our senses, right? Our thoughts, the brain. Imagine the brain of the human being 20 million years ago, and the brain of the human being now, and the brain of the human being in another 20 million years is very different. So the experience, the mind experience of the brain of 20 million years ago and the brain experience of today's brain, human brain, are very different. Very different. So what you are experiencing is just a model that is depending on the instrument. So that varies. But that which does not vary is consciousness. So what is it that is the reality of your experience? Is it the thoughts, the arising, the perceptions, the meditations, which can change in 20 million years? Or is it consciousness that does not change? It is obviously consciousness, yes? Okay. So the arising is just the dance of consciousness, is a coloring of consciousness. And it changes, it's constantly changing. The reality of everything that you experience is not independent, irrespective of how sophisticated the instrument is not independent of consciousness. In fact, the instrument of perception itself is a manifestation, let's say, or how consciousness appears to itself, how it manifests to itself. And because consciousness is complete freedom, it is not limited to this realm of experience. It is not. There are infinite possibilities, and the infinite possibilities of consciousness are not bound by the human mind, are not bound by time and space.
Can the human mind experience those different possibilities, or is it limited?
Well, of course it is limited. When we refer to the mind, we're referring to the capacities of the brain and of the sensory system. We cannot sense. I cannot sense. This body mind cannot sense what the fish experience, right? In the fish sensory system cannot sense the human experience, the sensory experience of the human. So there are limits, there are limitations of the body mind. But these limitations of the body mind are impressions. They're impressions. They're like when you're looking at a wave, you say, oh, well, this wave is 5 foot high. It's a limited wave. But it's just an impression because there isn't really a wave. The wave is water, and water is limitless. I mean, as a metaphor, it's the ocean. So the wave is a mind impression. And yes, in a relative way of speaking, we could say that the mind is limited. And we do say that the body is limited. But it's important to comprehend that there isn't an actual mind or an actual body, because the mind and the body refer to that reality, which is consciousness.
I don't get that. I don't get that right now.
That the reality of mind is consciousness? well, there is one reality, yes? You can get that there's one reality?
Yeah.
And that in your experience, reality is, what is your experience of reality? When you look at your experience, what is it that you find to be real?
Awareness.
Okay, do you find anything else that is real?
Not in the sense of like absolute, no.
Well, there is real or illusory. There isn't an in between. There isn't
Okay.
sort of I'm half pregnant or something. There isn't. You're pregnant or you're not pregnant. I mean, right?
Okay, so only awareness is real.
Right. So when I say that the mind, meaning thoughts, sensations, that reality is awareness, or the world, meaning perceptions, you know, the oak tree in the yard, the reality of the oak tree in the yard is awareness. Are you okay with that?
No, can you say it in a different way, please?
Yes. So let's take the example of the dreamer. When you are dreaming, that which is real is you, right? You,
Yeah.
the dreamer. And so you dream, in your dream, you perceive a mountain, a solid mountain. Right? You perceive, for example, you perceive a tree. How about you perceive a tree, yes?
Mm-hmm.
But the tree is the reality of the tree, the reality of the world that you perceive is doesn't belong to the tree or to the world that you perceive. The reality of the world that you perceive is you, the dreamer. You follow that?
Yeah.
So all I'm doing is I'm taking the example of the waking state now. I'm saying in the waking state, you, consciousness, are real.
Yeah.
And you perceive a mountain, or you perceive a tree in the yard. You perceive a tree. The reality of that which you perceive, the tree, is not the tree. It's I, not the dreamer. I mean, I, consciousness. I'm just using the dream state as a metaphor to invite you to understand, or to open you to the possibility that, yes, the waking state is like the dream state, but it's has a different time dimension. In the dream state, the oak tree lasts 1 hour. In the waking state, it lasts 100 years. It's a different time. It's a same experience, but different time dimension. So the reality of your experience is I awareness, meaning that which does not change in your experience is awareness. Yes?
Yeah.
And what you perceive, you perceive thoughts, sensations, and meditations. Thoughts, sensations, and perceptions. Yes?
Yeah.
In other words, you perceive mind, and you perceive the world and the universe, right?
Yeah.
And you perceive the body, right?
Yes.
So the reality of your experience of that which you perceive is I consciousness. Your reality and the reality of the world can only be as real as your reality. It cannot be more real than your reality, right?
Yeah.
So you take a look at that.
Thank you.
Hello, Magdi.
Oh, hello, George.
You have time for another question?
Yes.
We were talking earlier about what thoughts to hold, what thoughts to believe. I had an idea, it was about a week ago, and my idea was that looking at my life, I've spent decades in service to the separate self. That is, doing what was best for George. What's best for me at this moment? What's best for me? What's best for my wife? What's best for my kids? What's best for my tribe? Whatever. Very me-oriented. And I had the thought, what would happen if I changed the whole orientation of my life? What would happen if I spent the last 15 years of my life, assuming I live that long? I have no idea if I'm going to live that long. But what if I changed the whole orientation to doing what's best for us, doing what's best for society, doing what's best for people in general? Now, I have no idea how to do that. And the first thing I would do if I were to do that would be to investigate that. But my question for you, is that a viable objective? Is this merely my separate, that belief, is that something I should really go with? Or is that my separate self just co-opting the procedure, to just my separate self in disguise, I guess I'm asking.
Right. So to help the world, take care of the world, to have this more orientation towards your neighborhoods, your other causes, other people, it's fine. If it arises for it's fine, but it has nothing to do with what we are talking about. It has nothing to do with knowing yourself and being the self. Now, it could be that as it becomes more and more clear for you and you become more and more established as this borderless aware presence that becomes more and more your experience, that what may arise for you out of that understanding, a sense of sharing, a feeling for engaging, in various other ways, and we don't. I don't know. That could be one of the ways in which the being knowingly consciousness may express itself through this particular body mind called George. May express itself completely differently in different body mind. One may decide to sort of just be more quiet, maybe write, or share, teach, or we don't know. So if it speaks to you out of your love, out of the blooming of love within you, to engage in those particular benevolent, let me say, activities towards others, then go for it. But in terms of your question, is that the direction? No. There is no direction. It's not like this is how being knowingly the self, this is what we do. No, because the understanding of our true nature expresses itself in so many ways. It can express itself in just how you say hello to somebody at the cashier when you are purchasing something. It can also express itself how you drive on the road. It expresses itself how you listen to people. It expresses itself also as how you express yourself, how you speak, how you move, how you respond when a vase falls off the table and crashes on the tile floor. It expresses itself in so many. It expresses itself in your inner silence, in the inner peace that not necessarily on the surface. On the surface, you may be the foreman of a group of 15 people but it's the peace within. It can express itself that way. So there are infinite ways in which this understanding expresses itself, and there is that living understanding that it's all one reality, that we're all one, and that this oneness is the oneness of consciousness, is the wholeness of consciousness that is sort of inviting all of us to participate in its creation, in its creativity, and recognizing ourselves as part of that totality, part of that whole. There isn't any ego in that. There is just how we are in this moment. Are we in this moment using the old model about me, my life, my family, my tribe, my. Of course, I'm not denying or criticizing taking care of one's family, taking care of one's car, taking care of the body, taking care of garden, etc. No, that's because that's what's given to us, and somehow here we are. This is what's unfolding, but that it's not limited to that, because the love and the understanding is everywhere we are. It's with us. It is us. It is, and wherever we are, whatever we are doing, it's there. It's there, and it expresses itself in the way it expresses itself. We'll see.
Thank you, Magdi. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Magdi?
Hello, John.
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, John.
It's just, I wanted to share this, and you can elaborate or whatever, I guess. I also have been one who has said, hey, my body's here, the eyes see it, or I feel it, I sense it, or whatever. And, I see my hands and so forth, and it's always here, as Amna said. But of course, I've also had the experience of looking at this, and nothing nothing is still, nothing stays. So there's a confusion for the, seems to be a confusion for thought, because thought says, wait a minute, nothing stays, but yet I say this and I believe this, but I have a memory of this. And anyway, so now I'm confused, and so hence the inquiry of what is real or what is my reality. But I want to say something about the body too, on the level of what I learned in a class once about, I, I'm laughing because I never did do very well in school, but so the
Join the club,
I went to summer school every year, but almost every year. But anyway, what I recall was they were called proprioceptors. So there's cells, there's things that, detect on the body level, on the relative scale. There's things that detect the external weather. There's heat out there, there's cold out there. So, the body says, hey, prepare for this or that. All these things are happening. They're not happening because of John that was named on the birth certificate, or the sound John's not doing it, the thought of me, I am doing it. That's happening on its own, and obviously from the absolute. But but nonetheless, these things do happen. And because of those types of things, there is a real sense of the body. And yet I realize now, at least this is my thought at this point, certainly is that that matches the idea of when we talk about the stage or the play or something like that, is that there's a character that's developed. There's a body that's developed through the nervous system, the same through a frog or through anything else or whatever. There's something that's done through that, okay, to give it that sense. So there's not there certainly isn't saying, oh, that's not there. But it's not my true reality. And to see that is development, there's a sense of that, okay, but it has to be memorized and it has to be done, and it's done for, I would assume, functional purposes. So the baby is learning names, the baby is learning this, the baby is learning mommy and daddy because they come in all the time and they hug them, and then they learn the words, or they're caretakers and all that. But it's all done through the system. It's not done by a name. It's not done by a person. And so to me it's developed so there's this play, so that I can be a character in the play, so in that way, for me, I understand that it's like not to negate or be upset with the character in the play, but know my true reality, so that the character can enjoy that play.
Yes, the body is a set of sensation, a sensory, or use the term, well, proprioception. Yes, yeah. The body functions, in relationship, in sensory relationships with its environment, and yes, it's developed its own intelligence and capacity to maneuver and to survive and to function. But when you speak of a character, now you're introducing the belief that there is a personal self that is managing the body. In fact,
I don't think I was suggesting that, but I mean, I hear that can be thought.
Well, a character. Well, what do you mean by a character then?
What I mean by a character is just as a way of doing an analogy, just a way of maybe a metaphor, whatever you want to call it, and to relate it to when a lot of times we talk about there's a dance going on, or You know,
but it's a universal dance. It's a cosmic dance.
Yes.
So, but what's your character?
But the appearance of a character is there. Okay, the appearance, just like there's an appearance of the. But
how does a character appear to you, John? Tell me. I mean, describe to me the character.
We can say the character is appearing as the sensations, the memory,
a sensation or a memory is a sensation, and memory is an image or a thought.
Yes.
But where is the character in there? That's a question.
Well, that's the point that I'm making. I'm not expressing it the way you might express it, but that's the point that I'm making. Mm-hmm. So but it's playing. I mean, what I was really trying to make a point of is that a lot of times it's very easy to say, hey, there's nobody here, okay? And it becomes a negative thing. And yet at the same time, there is
no personal self, but there is God's play, of course. God's play is we're full on, in God's play. But there isn't a personal self. When we say there is nobody here, we're referring to there is no
personal
separate, no separate entity, no separate consciousness, no what I imagine. Sometimes we imagine that I am ... I am some sort of person with my own personal history and all of that, and I'm believe and feel that's what I am. And
the character is an illusion. The character is like an illusion, okay? And yet that happens, okay? And one moves in that way. But the idea is if with the understanding, okay, that it's an illusion, okay? And so there's nothing at stake really, okay? And yet the character there's certain things in the body says do this, react this way, and do that, so that's God's play.
Yes, okay. But you see, John, there is a difference between illusion and ignorance. So illusion is something appears to be while it's something else. So there is an image that appears to be blue, red, color, whatever, but in fact it is just consciousness. So it's the illusion of manifestation. Ignorance is believing that there is a separate character, there is a separate self, that somehow there is a personal I, while in fact I is God's self, God's being, universal being. So I have to be a little watchful of maybe it could be just language, and I understand it could be just language. This is sort of this character when
I only mention it, Magdi, the same as I guess maybe I can't remember. I can't remember the character and the character in the play that Rupert always mentions and he uses as a model to share stuff, and or somebody in a dream or whatever, and the dreamer, but that's what I'm talking about, is to realize that I am not the character. Okay, but it's just using language, okay, and it's not to rag on the character because it's fun. It can be fun to, in a sense, but it only brings us to consciousness. My true reality is consciousness. So everything is made out of consciousness, and so in that sense, I think in my case, it was sometimes I would inquire or meditate and I couldn't see anything stand still. So how could I find me? Nothing stayed still. Okay. Yes. I can put my hands up in front of me. I can do that. They're not staying still either. And my eye images aren't staying still. And so, and then that can, for a person, that can be disconcerting because, well, then I'm nothing. And, how do I operate and how do I, so there's a real personal thing that's at stake. But the truth of the matter is, in that sense, is to see that, okay. And I've seen it the same thing as an infant. If you put the illusion part is, if there's an infant in a crib or somewhere, then you put these little doll hands up in front of it down by its side, it may somehow believe or think, or it's not believing or thinking, but somehow see that as its own hands or arms, so there's a lot that's very illusional, very, that's not the true reality. But it's consciousness that's playing all of that. So
Yes.
that's all I was trying to share, is that in my own case, it was like, gosh, if I disappear, which is what people talk about, you're supposed to disappear in that sense. It's again language and all that kind of stuff. But if I disappear, then it's blank, or there's, but it's never blank. Nothing is still. The only stillness is I.
Yes.
And so it's not like it's blank.
Right.
And it's full of the love and the beauty, and allow the character to play, when I say the character, allow this sense of the character to make mistakes, to do whatever, but not, as you say, nothing at stake.
Yes.
Now, having said all of that, okay.
Yes. Yes.
It's not my way of life all the time, but more and more that as I go deeper, so to speak, that's recognized that there's only one here.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, John. Yes, it is the unhappiness disappears, the confusion, the unhappiness disappears. But yes, what remains is the love, the beauty, the happiness. Unhappiness is just a veiling over, over our true nature, which is love, beauty, and happiness. And yes, the play goes on without the unhappiness. So yes,
it sort of makes it lighter. Yeah, it makes it lighter in a sense.
Absolutely, in a big way. In a big way.
Yeah, in a big way. That's really true. In a big way, and yet at the same time, not to personalize it.
Yes.
Oh, I've gotten happiness, and now I can handle everything, and I'm happiness, and I'm this and that. So I'm a better person, and I've attained, enlightenment. And you should get to unhappiness again, because it won't happen that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, John. Yes, thank you. It's true.
Namaste.
Okay, well, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you, George. See you, Holger, Richard, Kitty, hello, Amna, John, and Marga. Thank you all.